quite honestly, it is what we have come to expect from Oklahoma, especially in season openers. You establish dominance and you do not let up. It's 34-0 at halftime. And while I understand that scoring 50 in this game was kind of a foregone conclusion if you've been following Oklahoma football for any length of time, to say nothing of if you've been following Temple and how bad they have been in recent years, but it's the way in which Oklahoma scored those 50 that is impressive. And while we're going to talk about the offense, we're going to talk about the great things we saw from Deion Burks, the great things we saw from Jackson Arnold, even Michael Hawkins toward the end, to say nothing of Taylor Tatum. Look, dog, the defense is the story. 6 turnovers in this game, 4 sacks of the quarterback, did not allow more than 110 yards passing, and Forrest Brock was out there running for his life most of the day. I think the only thing you might be upset about if you're Oklahoma is giving up those 3 points. You kind of wanted to shut out on this one because that's the way it was looking until late into the third quarter. A little bit sloppy at times. I wanted to see a much cleaner game from Oklahoma because I thought here you needed to show discipline as well as explosiveness and dominance. And frankly, watching the defensive backs do what they were doing, Billy Bowman should have had a pick. It didn't go that way. Kendall Dolby was trying to tip one to himself. It didn't go that way. Jared Kinnick had a really great game, but it was more for me about what does Oklahoma have to show ahead of its game against Houston. Then we got one more, and then we in the SEC play. But there were a couple of notes that I thought were worth talking about in this one. Starting with, my goodness, man, Jay Jackson is a revelation. I understand that David Stone is the dude that you want. I think he's going to grow into being Gerald McCoy. But to see that man getting a start is absolutely awesome. Jay Jackson became the only the 4th OU true freshman to start on the defensive lines in a season opener. The last guy to do that was Tommy Harris in 2001. And before that, we're talking about Corey Callins in 1997 and Marcus Lowe in 1987. 11 of the players made their first starts, and we're talking about guys that were redshirt seniors. We're also talking about needing to see dudes like Gary and Hatchett come in, Branson Hickman, Marco Tyquin, the whole offensive line basically, save Jacob Sexton is who we're really talking about here. And then seeing Bauer Sharp get the first TD of the game, and then Deion Burks being an absolute unit at wide receiver. There's a lot to like about what Oklahoma was doing here. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more offense, but when the game is going the way it's going, you take what you can get. Brennan Thompson, outstanding in there. Jackson Arnold looked like he knew what he was doing moving around. I had my issues with the offensive line. I think we're still going to have our issues with the offensive line. I think there's still much we would like to see from the offensive line, but 220 yards on the ground, I mean, at the end of the game, you're looking around going, okay, we handled our business against Temple. It's game 1. You're 1-0. That's what you want. I realize that there are only a few games going on last weekend and this weekend that really factor into the the college football playoff picture because we're not playing conference games right now unless Florida State, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech already got 1-0 in the ACC. We're going to see what happens on Saturday. Notre Dame, Texas A&M is a big one. Georgia, Clemson, also a big one. Then Sunday, we got LSU and USC. That's going to tell us a lot about both the Big Ten and the SEC. But again, getting back to Oklahoma, I really like seeing Tyler Keltner out there making one from 50, making one from 42, and then blasting one from, it looked like 27. Yeah, in the second half. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is coming on with his longest field goal at Oklahoma ever. And I think Gabe Burkage was the last guy to make one of 53 yards or longer. And that got to be like 2021. So seeing the kicking game getting shore up, because that was kind of another aspect of what are we going to have here that we didn't get to see. Getting Michael Hawkins some run at the end I thought was really good, and I really wanted to see some Casey Thompson because I like Casey Thompson. I remember covering Kendall when he was the quarterback, throwing lefty, competing for the starting job at one point at Oklahoma. Really love what I've seen from Casey over the years, and I thought as the game was going on, Andre Ware was getting worn out, dog. Like that dude, he don't like transfers. He don't like shotgun. I learned a whole lot about what Andre Ware does not like. Talking about, I never took a snap shotgun in college, saved my life. I'm like, dog, but you still threw for 1,000,000 yards. So, I mean, let's pump the brakes on this. I realize that there's a lot of folks that don't like the progressive way that college football is going, talking about stand and fight, compete. I'm going, hey, dog, look, go play. You know what I'm saying? Like, wherever you're going to go play and have a good time, go play and have a good time. I think that this really does set Oklahoma up for what I think is going to be a 3-0 start. Like, Houston won't be easy. Tulane won't be easy. We'll keep going down about this as we get closer and closer to the games. I'll talk a little bit more about what those look like being for Oklahoma. But, man, if you're looking at the schedule, you see Houston, you see Tulane, and then you got a top 25 Tennessee, Auburn on the road, and then, of course, Texas. Get to Texas undefeated. That feels like it's going to be a game that the winner might actually play in the conference championship. That's how strongly we feel about Texas. To say nothing of what Texas has to show in a couple of weeks against Michigan. Michigan's going to play Fresno State. A little bit later tonight, we'll see Texas Christian Stanford. I think that's going to be a fun one between a Big 12 team and an ACC team. Also got to see Michigan State and Florida Atlantic get off to a pretty good start. But the thing that I really wanted to see from Oklahoma's defense was how does Zach Alley operate it? What does it look like? How much does Brent Venables call from the defense? What do we see coaching on the sidelines? And what I saw was two guys in sync. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, you've gone through basically 2 decades of being able to score, right? Like, it's been since John Blake, the last time that Oklahoma couldn't go on to a football field and at least put up 35, 40 points or feel like they could put up 35, 40 points in any game they play. It's been stopping people that Oklahoma has really missed. And when you're talking about starting a true freshman on the defensive line for the first time since Tommy Harris, you can tell where the emphasis has gone for Oklahoma, and that has been the big question about OU going to the SEC play is, are you thick enough, deep enough, talented enough on the defensive line to go up against SEC opponents? Because the way that I put the folks is this. Oklahoma is talented enough on the defensive line to start any game against any SEC opponent that's from Georgia all the way down. It's can you rotate in? And when you can start a guy like Jaden Jackson, and then you can rotate in a guy like David Stone or give him time to grow, you got a really good rotation set for yourself. I'm thinking about what Ethan Downs was able to do, R. Mason Thomas is able to do, the way that they were just able to dent the middle of that Temple offensive line and get home. That's impressive to me. Again, it's Temple. Temple's not an SEC program. Temple's going to have a hard time in the American, let alone competing the rest of the year. But as we continue to take a look at what Oklahoma has accomplished or not accomplished, I'm going to continue to look at the defensive line and see what they were able to do. And when you got 4 sacks in this game, you don't really allow anybody to move the ball on the ground or through the air. I think it was the first 10 attempts Forrest Brock had were incompletions. So he was absolutely having a hard time the whole way. And then I'm looking at the third down efficiency for Temple, 4 of 13, 197 total yards, 69 rush yards. 6 turnovers, 6 sacks. 6 sacks, not 4. 6 sacks, 128 pass yards for Temple. The one thing that Oklahoma could have done offensively that they didn't do until late in the game was convert a third down. They were 0 for 11 until a little speed option turned into 50 points for Oklahoma with Michael Hawkins in garbage time. Again, I think the positive on this, if you're not going to convert on third downs, don't turn the ball over. And Oklahoma did not do that. So you played sound defense and you did not turn the ball over. Nobody got – I take that back. No, we're down a center. I was going to say nobody got hurt. But that's just not true. It's not true. It feels like we've been kind of hit by the injury bug here all the way through. And I'm looking at Bill Bedenbaugh going, I hope you know something I don't know. Because even Jacob Sexton didn't look great on that offensive line. And I'm used to seeing at least 2 or 3 guys on Bill Bedenbaugh's offensive line that project as first-round draft picks. And that might still be true, right? We still got some growing up to do. And I'm trying to be positive as we go forward with Oklahoma, knowing what is in store for them in the SEC, knowing that getting off to this 3-0 start is the most important part of the schedules right now, because you got Tennessee coming to you September 21st. That is a game you must win. That is a game that is going to mean the world to Tennessee because Oklahoma's doubled them up. It's going to mean the world to Josh Heupel because last time he was here, he got fired as the offensive coordinator, and Brent Venables is the defensive coordinator. That means that there have been 2 head coaches at Oklahoma not named Josh Heupel when it felt like that was going to be his job just as soon as Bob Stoops decided to settle down somewhere, but that's not how that went. And now he's got a team that is absolutely loaded with talent. They got a 5-star that I really love in Nico Iamaleava, and they can really move the ball down the field. I think Squirrel White's going to be a lot for them. I think Brew McCoy's going to be a lot for them. It's really difficult to make all of this hit the way that it needs to hit right now because we still got a couple of games and that's still about a month away. But I did want to touch on that briefly. I also want to touch on briefly, the channel has gone over 100,000 subscribers, and I need to make a standalone segment about that. But what I'm going to say about it here is It started with one subscriber, guys. Started with one. And one felt really hard. And 10 felt really hard. 100 felt impossible. 1,000 felt millions of miles away. 10,000, and I was looking around going, are there really that many people that want to listen to me talk about college football? And that number continued to grow. And it's been 7 years come September 10th that I've been doing this show. And it's been such a journey. Thinking about all the people that have helped me get right here to this place where I'm going to get a play button. That's my national championship, guys. 100,000 people. Thank you. Thank you so very much. My mother, Laurel, Ron, Tyler, Katie, my family, my bosses at Fox, Terry Beckham, who loved me from the start, Heber, we don't talk about the flag. It's been really hard to look at us.